the very beginning, God was already there. God created time, the universe, by the power of his word, turning nothing into something. On the sixth day of creation, God made mankind, a man and a woman, created in his likeness. Their names were Adam and Eve. God placed them in the Garden of Eden, a perfect environment, and gave them the responsibility of taking care of the garden. God allowed them to eat any fruit in the garden but one. The tree of knowledge of good and evil was forbidden to them. God warned them that if they would eat the fruit, they would die. Meanwhile, a mighty angel named Lucifer rebelled against God and was cast out of heaven. He took the form of a serpent and tempted Eve to disobey God by eating the forbidden fruit. He told her that she would not die and that the fruit was actually good. She believed the lies and ate some of the fruit, and then gave the fruit to her husband Adam, and he ate it too. Immediately the couple knew they did wrong. God also knew and said, "What have you done?"
"The woman that you gave me told me to eat the fruit."
"The serpent tricked me. He said that the fruit was good to eat and we wouldn't die if we ate it."
"Because you have done this, you must leave the garden, and the ground will be cursed for all men. It will no longer grow plants easily. Men will have to work hard to get food. All women will be cursed with great pain during childbirth, and the serpent will be cursed to crawl on its belly and eat dust all the days of its life."
And then God made a promise. One day someone would be born of a woman who would do battle with the serpent. This one would crush the serpent's head, and the serpent would bruise his heel. The Old Testament documents 4,000 years of God's plan unfolding to bring about the redemption of man. At the close of the Old Testament, God has a unique chosen people who would believe the promises made by God. They are ready for the serpent crusher, the promised Messiah, all to be found in one person, Jesus Christ.
At that time, the Roman emperor decreed that a census should be taken. Everyone returned to their own ancestral towns to register for the census. Joseph, being a descendant of King David, had to go to Bethlehem. He took his fiancée, Mary, with him, who was expecting a child. And while they were there, the time came for her baby to be born. She gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in strips of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. When Jesus was 30 years old, he began teaching people about God's plan of salvation. He performed miracles of healing and demon exorcisms, as well as fulfilling every prophecy of the promised Messiah, the serpent crusher. At the height of his ministry and miracles, many Jews came to believe in Jesus as the Messiah, the Son of God. Jewish leaders feared Jesus because of his growing followers. Roman soldiers arrested Jesus, and he was put on trial for claiming to be the King of the Jews. According to Roman law, the punishment for rebellion against the king was death by crucifixion.
Jesus was whipped and beaten by the Roman soldiers without complaint. Jesus understood that his life would be required as a sacrifice for the sins of man. As they led Jesus away to be crucified, the soldiers grabbed a man from the crowd and put the cross on him and made him carry it for Jesus. When they came to the place called Golgotha, they nailed Jesus to the cross, and two criminals were also crucified, one on his right and one on his left. A sign fastened above him with these words read, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." The crowd watched and the leaders scoffed. "He saved others," they said. "Let him save himself if he is really God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldiers mocked him too. "If you are the King of the Jews, save yourself." By this time it was about noon, and darkness fell across the whole land until about 3 o'clock. Then Jesus shouted, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And with those words, he breathed his last. When the Roman officer overseeing the execution saw what had happened, he worshipped God and said,
"Surely this man was innocent."
All the crowd that had came to see the crucifixion saw what had happened. They went home in deep sorrow.
But Jesus' friends stood at a distance watching. They took Jesus' body down from the cross and wrapped it in a long sheet of linen cloth and laid it in a new tomb that had been carved out of rock. This was done late on Friday afternoon as the Sabbath was about to begin.
On Sunday morning, the stone rolled away from the entrance of the tomb, and Jesus rose from the dead. He appeared to his disciples and stayed with them for 40 days, continuing his teachings and instructions to go into the world and spread the good news of salvation. Then Jesus is taken up into heaven. We believe that Jesus will return again and all his faithful followers will be taken up to heaven. The expectation is a motivation for holy living as well as a source of comfort. No man knows the day or the hour when this will take place.